Welcome back. Are You Smarter Than a Libertarian? I'm your host, Jeff, and today we're diving headfirst into one of the biggest, longest running, most expensive government experiments you've probably never thought much about the Job Corps. This thing has been chugging along since 1964, a proud artifact of LBJ's Great Society. And like most government programs, it started with great intentions and quickly evolved into a black hole of taxpayer dollars, bad incentives, and embarrassing results. So let's break this mess down in four parts. And yes, every part of the story could be its own political cartoon. The first part, the pizza that's missing slices. Let's start with the basic model. Job Corps is a federally funded residential career training program for low income youth, kids and young adults between the age of 16 and 24. They move into government dorms, take vocational classes, earn diplomas, and hopefully graduate with job ready skills. It sounds great in theory, but most everything the government does sounds great in theory. But the execution, well, imagine this: order a large pizza, and you open the box and find five of the 12 slices. You're still hungry, but you've already paid full price. That's Job Corps. Before the pandemic, about 32,000 students enrolled every year, but only 45% actually graduated. That's right, more than half didn't even finish the program. And those aren't night classes where people are balancing kids and jobs. These are full time, live in students whose only job is to study and finish, and still, over half failed to complete it. Right out of the gate, that's government efficiency at its finest. We're spending billions to train kids, and most don't even finish the training. Pandemic panic, shutdown, and cash out. Now let's add a global pandemic into the mix. It couldn't get worse, could it? You would think the residential program might actually adapt well, keep the kids isolated, continue training, maybe shift to online models. But this is the government we're talking about here. They don't do anything efficiently. In March 2020, every single one of the 121 Job Corps centers shut down. Roughly 30,000 students got sent home, and vocational training stopped cold. Enrollment froze. No one was graduating because no one was attending. It was basically an extended government paid spring break. And we all know when the government pays for something, there's always a string attached to it. Now, you and I both know that in any private sector organization, a full shutdown like that would mean mass layoffs, serious restructuring, and belt tightening. But for Job Corps, no. The spending continued, the bureaucracy kept humming along, and the backlog of students just grew. Excuse me. Even as the pandemic faded, the program never really bounced back. By 2023, the graduation rate was even lower, only 38%. That means after 3 years of getting back to normal, whatever the hell that means, the program still couldn't even get 4 out of 10 kids or students across the finish line. Let me remind you again, these are students who live on site, have their food, housing, and schooling fully covered, no commutes, no work conflicts, and still, most don't graduate. Yeah, this is getting better and better by the minute. Segment 3, the $155,000 diploma, now with bonus Tesla. All right, now for my favorite part, the cost. This is where your blood pressure might spike, or if you enjoy seeing government spending, you might be happy as a clam. Before the pandemic, Job Corps cost about 1.7 billion per year. That's with a B. The average cost per student was between 34 and 44,000 a year. And if a student actually managed to graduate, taxpayers had spent roughly $96,000 on them. But post-pandemic, the cost exploded like a federal budget hearing. By 2023, it costs $80,000 per student per year. That's double. And the average cost to produce a graduate, $155,000. Let's pause. At $155,000 per graduate, you could literally send every student to a private college, cover full tuition, pay for room and board, buy them a Tesla, and still have enough money left over for steak dinners every weekend. Let that sink in. And what kind of income are these graduates earning? The average post-program income was about $16,000 a year. That's part-time fast food money. So let's summarize that equation. We spend $155,000 to train one person. They graduate into a $16,000 a year job. Meanwhile, us taxpayers and them are stuck with the bill, wondering why nothing ever improves. But if you expect the government to be more efficient under any administration, you're just deluding yourself. This isn't workforce development. This is government subsidized spinning in circles. And the fourth part, the pause button that should have existed years ago, maybe even decades ago. Now, after years of dismal results, pandemic chaos, ballooning costs, and let's not forget more safety incidences and misconduct cases than anyone wants to report, the Department of Labor finally blinked and got it done. In 2025, they announced that most Job Corps operations nationwide would be suspended. Only a small handful of centers run by the Department of Agriculture would stay open. The rest, mostly run by contractors, are shutting down on June 30th, 2025. For now, one of the largest youth training programs in federal history is basically on ice, and it's a good thing. Don't throw good money after bad money. Now, don't get me wrong, helping disadvantaged youth is a noble goal. Nobody's arguing that. I'm not arguing that. But once again, the government took a good intention, mixed it with bad incentives, wrapped it in a layer of bureaucracy, and handed the taxpayers a big flaming bag of shit. If private businesses ran Job Corps, they would have either fixed it or gone out of business years ago. But the government, they just keep adding zeros and calling it progress. And now that it's failing, nobody's getting fired. Nobody's giving the money back. They just quietly hit pause and hope you stop paying attention and they can distract you with Ukraine and Russia. And that, my friends, is the Job Corps mess. A perfect case study in how government takes your money, sets it on fire, and then calls it a public service when there was no service rendered to the public. And who's really hurt by this is the people who are enrolled in it who got shafted. Thanks for listening to Are You Smarter Than a Libertarian? If you learned something today, do me a favor. Hit that follow button, share the podcast, and keep exposing the nonsense. One absurd government program at a time. New episodes drop every day. I'm Jeff, and as always, stay free, stay informed, and stay accountable. Thank you very much for watching. New videos drop every day. My podcast can be found on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeart Radio Podcast. Until next time, stay free, stay informed, and stay accountable.